It's time for Cookies and Crime. For the next few videos, I'm going to be covering serial killers by their zodiac signs. First up is Aquarius. This is the story of Gary Ridgway, also known as the Green River Killer. Ridgway was born on February 18, 1949 in Salt Lake City, Utah, and he, not surprisingly, had a troubled home life. His mother was described as domineering, and he's witnessed a lot of violent arguments between his parents. And his father would always complain about the presence of sex workers. He also had a bedwetting problem until he was 13, and after every episode his mom would clean his private parts. He later confessed to defense psychologists that as an adolescent, this created conflicting feelings of anger and sexual attraction toward his mother. Sorry, that's disgusting. And he fantasized about killing her. When he was 16, he stabbed a 6-year-old boy who thankfully survived the attack. Ridgway was also dyslexic and had an IQ in the low 80s. He would later on get married 3 times and had 1 son with his second wife. In 1980, Ridgway was arrested for allegedly choking a prostitute, but no charges were filed, and then later was arrested for solicitation. His killing spree would begin soon after. His first victim would be a 16-year-old girl who went missing after leaving her foster home in July 1982. Ridgway would commonly target women who were prostitutes or runaways. He would small-talk them, show a picture of his son to trick them into trusting him. He would dump most of his victims' bodies in the Green River in Washington, dubbing him the Green River Killer. He also dumped bodies in wooded areas around Seattle-Tacoma International Airport and other dump sites within South King County. He's also dumped several bodies in the Portland, Oregon area. Ridgway would terrorize the Seattle and Tacoma, Washington area throughout the 1980s and 1990s and is believed to have murdered at least 71 teenage girls and women. Ridgway had reported that he had killed so many that he lost count, but the majority of the murders occurred between 1982 and 1984. Even though he had a low IQ, Ridgway was able to lead investigators astray for a very long time because he contaminated the dump sites with gum, cigarettes, and written materials belonging to others, and even transported victims across state lines into Oregon to confuse the police. A special task force was formed to find the killer. They even got help from Ted Bundy, who was already incarcerated at the time. He offered his opinions on the psychology, motivations, and behavior of the killer. He suggested that the killer was revisiting the dump sites to have sex with his victims, which turned out to be true. A breakthrough in DNA matching technology finally led to his arrest on November 30th, 2001. Ridgway later said that murdering young women was his career. In 2003, Ridgway was sentenced to 48 life sentences, or 480 years. For some reason, I thought he was dead because it feels like a long time ago, but he's alive.